Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe my channel. The old house on Elm Street had always been a noisy place. It was a symphony of scuffling feet, overlapping television shows, and the constant warm hum of conversation. It was the sound of the Miller family, a sound that Amy Miller had built her life around. But that afternoon, the house was silent. The silence was a physical presence, thick and heavy in the living room, where Amy and her two older sisters, Clara and Beth, sat. The plastic-covered sofa creaked under Amy's weight as she shifted, the sounds unnaturally loud in the quiet. A single sunbeam cut through the gap in the blinds, illuminating dust motes dancing like forgotten memories. Clara, the eldest sister, sat stiffly in their father's worn armchair, her hands, usually fluttering with activity, sorting mail, tapping on her phone, fixing a stray thread on a sweater, were perfectly still, folded in her lap. She was the family's anchor, the one who organized holiday dinners and remembered everyone's doctor's appointments. Now she looked unmoored. Beth, the fiery middle sister, paced the length of the floor rug. Her usual torrent of opinions and jokes had dried up, replaced by a restless energy that vibrated through the room. She'd been the one to drive Clara to her lattice appointment, the one who had listened to the doctor use words that were both complicated and terrifyingly simple. It was Beth who finally broke the silence. "It's not fair," she whispered, her voice raspy. She stopped pacing and looked at Clara, her eyes glistening. "You're the healthy one. You're the one who eats the salads and goes for walks." A small, sad smile touched Clara's lips. "The body doesn't care about salads sometimes, Bethy." Amy felt a hot tear escape and roll down her cheek, tracing a path through her powder. She quickly wiped it away. She was used to being the one who needed taking care of, the one whose struggles were visible for the world to see on a scale. Her sisters had always been her cheerleaders, her support system. The universe had somehow flipped their roles, and the ground beneath Amy felt dangerously soft. "What do we do?" Amy asked, her voice small. "What do you need?" Clara took a deep breath, and for the first time, Amy saw a crack in her steadfast composure. It wasn't in her eyes, but in the slight tremor of her lower lip. "I need you both," Clara said, her gaze including Beth, who had finally sunk onto the couch beside Amy. "I need normalcy. I need to hear about Amy's garden and Beth's disastrous attempts at online dating. I need to hear the television. I need this house to sound like our house again." Beth let out a sound that was half sob, half laugh. "I can definitely provide disastrous dating stories. And my tomatoes are finally turning red. The big one, the one I named Bertha, is almost ready to pick." Clara's smile grew a fraction more genuine. "See? That's what I need. I need to taste Bertha the tomato." The heavy silence began to recede, not gone, but pushed to the corners of the room by the familiar cadence of their voices. They talked for an hour, carefully navigating around the giant, frightening thing in the center of the room. They made a plan. Beth would take charge of medical schedules and research. Amy, who worked from home, would be in charge of meals and making sure Clara never felt alone. It was a new kind of family dynamic, a new map they would have to draw together. As the evening light began to fade, painting the room in shades of orange and gray, Amy reached out, her hand covering Clara's. After a moment, Beth placed her hand on top of theirs. No more words were needed. The diagnosis was a storm cloud on their horizon, vast and unpredictable. But in that quiet living room, the three sisters built their anchor. It wasn't made of steel or stone, but of something far more resilient, the unwavering, noisy, complicated love that had always filled the house on Elm Street. They would face this the only way they knew it, together.